Hi, everyone, and welcome to another comics loving edition of Words, Images, and Worlds. Delighted on this episode to be talking with comics creator Daniel Kalban. Did I get your last name correct? I did.
Calvin. So you're
Kalban.
basically right.
Fantastic. All right, Daniel Kalban. Thank you for jumping on, joining me, and I'll mention a couple of titles here that I know you best for, one of those being American Dreams, as well as working on a character that just lives inside of my mind, Spider Squirrel, doing some work there. And then you also have Rook and Knight, which is out in the world of Kickstarter and uh, other such things. So glad to be talking with you about these titles and any others that you'd like to mention that are on the horizon or upcoming.
Well, I did Night Raft last year, the first issue of Night Raft, which so far has been my biggest Kickstarter success. And the original trade for American Dreams was the second biggest Kickstarter I did. But those are the three American Dreams, Night Raft, and Broken Eye, my three main solo written books. And
Nice.
as you mentioned, I do a little because I'm writing for Troy McKelvey over in his Zion Studios Spider Squirrel, neck of his universe.
Hmm.
And I do have
Hmm.
something coming out next year, a one shot I wrote. But that's all I can really say because he's announced it kind of. I don't know the actual Kickstarter date yet, but I'll have some stuff out there
Nice.
next year.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool. The work continues, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So curious about what it was about comics that made you go, this is the place for me. This is where I want to create.
So I always had this like fascination with comics. I think it's because I grew up with Batman animated series, Superman animated series, Super Friends, and all those Hanna-Barbera super shows in like syndication on Cartoon Network.
Hmm. Hmm.
But like getting actual comics at the time, like I found like a old like Brave Veronica on a bench at one point when I was a very little kid. And my dad had a collection of like in a book of like old school comics, and he actually gave me his Silver Age comics from when he was a kid to me when I was like 8 or 9, and of course they were not in good condition when I got them, and they're in terrible condition now. So I get all these key books. I'm like, I didn't think of that. I'm like, oh, superheroes.
Hmm. Hmm.
But my mom was like, no, you're not going to read comics. You're going to read, books. And then every so often I get a go graphic novel, but I wouldn't read was a regular comics reader until 2010 because there was a blizzard. I was home from college and there was a blizzard.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I started thinking to myself, I'm bored. I discovered comicsology. May it rest in peace.
Yes,
Um,
yeah.
and that was really big restart. Cause I started thinking, you know what? I want to write a Superman film script. And I did. And I looked back to that since and like, this is terrible. Um, Ironically, I named it Superman the Man of Steel. And of course, 2, 3, a few years later, they have Man of Steel come out. I'm like, damn it. Um, I wrote a Batman fan film script, and I wrote a bunch of other fan scripts, and then it just snowballed into me writing my own fan comics,
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
just fan comic scripts. And then I started, it was like, hey, you need to start writing your own material if you actually want to write in comics. So I started writing my own material. And then when it came to American Dreams, it was like one day I was like listening to the score to Ragtime, the Joe Ragtime, the musical,
Hmm. Hmm.
which is also a book. Read the book, listen to the score, both are great.
Hmm.
And I was
Hmm.
thinking to myself, like, what if there was a superhero in that time period? Maybe not 1906 specifically, like 1900, like a little earlier, like that cusp between the 19th and 20th centuries. And then I was the light bulb open, and I started writing something that was then called Modern Colossus or Modern Colossi, and I pitched it to a publisher, which because a friend and I was working on a different project, and we pitched our book to that publisher, which I don't even think it exists anymore. And he said to me when I was like, "Do you guys have anything else?" I pitched this book I was working on. It's
Hmm.
like I like it, I don't like the title. So I started like thinking, I started thinking like, what do I name this? It's like, and I just like started like spread American Dreams. It's like that's it, go do it.
Nice,
And then
nice.
that publisher kind of fell apart. Went to Short Fuse. Short Fuse, unfortunately, I was about to launch the issue 4 Kickstarter for American Dreams, and Short Fuse collapsed, for lack of a better word.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, oh, okay, I'll self publish 4 and 5. Just get it done. Because at the time I was working on Night Raft with Gabe Escobar Santos, who people now don't know for doing that book with Wesley Snipes, The Exiled.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, 1 second, 1 second. Okay,
Sure,
sorry,
sure.
mom's sick. She wants to do the paper. Um,
No worries, no worries. I can chop that bit.
yeah, yeah. Um, so we started creating. So basically, we had to go create something called Atlas Studios. And the first, and so Night Raft was the first official Atlas. So American Dream, because we were on Night Raft at the time,
Hmm.
and so we published American Dreams 4 and 5 under Atlas Studios, and then we did Night Raft, the first original version of the collected edition of American Dreams, and Brooklyn Night under Atlas Studios. And last year I was at a convention in here in well not here I was up in Connecticut, like, 2 states above me. I'm
Hmm.
here in New York, and my friend is helping me. My friend really flew out from the UK to help me do this con get this time to his vacation. And I had two other friends, Kat Calamy and Phil Falco, to my right. And the
Hmm.
friend helping me, other friends are table right next to me. I got an email from Band of Bards. Like, hey, we know you're doing the trade right now for American Dreams. Do you want us to pick it up? I'm like, I was like, I was sitting there like stunned. I think my face went kind of like, I don't know, pale or anything, because my friend is like, Dan, what's wrong? I'm like, Cat, come over here. And like, so it basically takes it back like, yes, but after this convention, we'll talk.
Nice. Yeah.
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 And so they picked up American Dreams and got into stores, and we got more American Dreams coming down the pike. I just wrapped up the black and white art for issue 8,
Hmm.
which is our first half of arc 2, which is like, again another 5 issue arc. Hopefully we'll have more details to announce soon. We're putting together a new version of the trade because we're waiting on the new version of the trade to get ready so we can ship it out to some Broken Night backers because I'm behind on that because a bunch of other stuff.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'll admit it. And we printed the Broken Night books right away, but everything else is like taking forever. Uh, which happens unfortunately with printing and everything.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's done, and then I got more Night Ref on the horizon. We had Gabe had to step back as artist. He's still co-creator, so we had to find another artist, and then we had to find another artist because the first artist got too busy. Um, we're trying to get more Broken Night done when the RT and the Baggage Brothers have more time.
Hmm.
I'm working on a couple other more projects, some connected to my Liberty verse, some not connected to my Liberty verse. Like I was doing a Sherlock Holmes versus the Phantom of the Opera mini with Jeremiah Shake, and I like people are like, oh, it's just gonna put Sherlock Holmes to the original novel. I'm like, no, because everyone does that.
Right. Right.
There's gonna be more of a sequel to the original novel with Sherlock Holmes in it.
Nice. Nice. You mentioned the Liberty verse. So for people out there that are curious about that, what would you share to sort of intro that?
Libertyverse is my kind of small shared superhero universe. It's
Hmm.
basically named after the primary hero of it, Liberty, Jake Gold, our Jewish Superman type character. And it was really funny 'cause I was talking because it was again with that out of the studios thing. I was starting to think. I was writing, the original outlines for the first arc of Night Raft. I'm like, hey, Gabe, why don't we just connect this to American Dream somehow?
Hmm.
And I'll tell you how, and not how you why. He said yes, but because of how things worked out, you really see that Steve really show first in Night Rook at Night issue 1.
Hmm.
Because we drop hints of this being a shared universe in Night Raft, but we really made it more overt in Rook at Night. And things are going to like I'm doing this in kind of phases. So basically, American Dreams volumes 1 and 2, Night Raft volume 1, and Rook and Knife volume 1, and then the first real crossover. It's kind of like my phase 1,
Nice.
and
Nice.
I'm working on it. I work on the crossover right now. I have the first issue written of that, so slowly but carefully, everything's going to get together and out the door.
Cool. Very cool. You mentioned a couple of collaborators there as well. So I'm curious about the collaborations that have been most meaningful so far in putting together this universe.
I think they're all meaningful in their own special ways because I was introduced to because the original American Dreams pitch of that first publisher, I didn't have an art team.
Hmm.
And someone in that publisher said, hey, I recommend this person, this person, this person. And they got me Dodi Eka and Tevye Andre and Moria Dewa for pencils, inks, and colors, respectively.
Hmm. Hmm.
And Dodi does his pencils like old school actual pencil on paper,
Love
which
it. Love
I was really cool. And then another person says, "Hey, why don't we get Netho Diaz to do a cover?" This is before Netho blew up to the Marvel master he is right now. You can
Hmm.
actually own his issue one cover physically here. Um, and that's also created another great friendship. And then I believe Gabe was like, and my of course my letter Matt Bowers was recommended to me. He's been a great guy too. And Tommy Shelton is usually my cover colorist. He's been a great friend too. And then Gabe Santos Escobar was looking for another, I guess, project to do. I said, hey, why don't we just spitball something together?
Hmm.
And he started like doing like let's do like a big like '90s brawler character, and like he did it that concept in one pass. It was like perfect.
Nice, nice.
Um, and I got in some cases this happened to me too. Like the artist on a couple of projects, Marcelo Moeller, originally came to me to ask, hey, do you have anything for me? Like, let me think of something for you. And the same thing happened with the Bags Brothers. And it's like, yeah, let's just pull something together.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then I've worked with some great, other creators like Travis Gibb. I did a short for him in Cthulhu Mage Wonderland.
Hmm. Hmm.
I and I worked with his letterer Jerome. Jerome did the lettering for Broken Knight, and I'm also doing a short for Jerome's book, which is coming out
Nice.
on Kickstarter soon with Holiday Spirits Volume 3. And ooh, I've worked with so many people. Then there's Charlie McKelvey, who does the Spider Squirrel stuff, because we were at Powerverse together. And he asked me, hey, like several years ago, I was still at my old job at the union, because I used to work at a union as kind of like a jack of all trades. And I work for a law firm as a jack of all trades. And they're like, and he was like, hey, can you do this character for me? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And I wrote one issue. We got an artist, and then we're waiting for things to get done. The artist went and blew up and went to Marvel. David Tinto, he's still a great guy. He's
Hmm.
just busy. We got another artist, and so this original three-shot baby came now just this ultra-sized one-shot, which will be out next year.
Nice,
It's
nice.
just gonna be a really fun book. It's basically me writing a Booster Gold-esque character. So it's me writing more comedy than more just straight up heroics. And also
Hmm.
it's writing someone who is a real it's always fun to write. It's like you're writing a jerk. Jerks are fun to write.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
like like one of the reasons I like writing Jake Gold slash Liberty in American Dreams because he's rough around the edges, good guy at heart, but he's still rough around the edges, so he's still gonna be a little uncouth. So he's a little bit of a jerk.
Hmm.
Well,
Hmm.
meaning jerk, but a jerk.
Right.
So he was really more jerkish in the original first draft of American Dreams issue 1, and then someone said, "No, you're making him someone unlikable. Find another angle." And then issue 2, I changed it around. Issue 2 is the great uh, sweatshop fire sequence, which shows yes, this
Hmm.
guy is truly heroic. And then, but then at the same time, Alistair Crowley's our big series baddie, and he is just so fun to write because he just does the world's worst, horrible things with him, like Joker. It's like writing Joker.
Hmm.
It's like you're writing your worst freaking impulses.
Hmm.
Have
Hmm.
class doing so because he's so fucking funny doing it.
Right, right. Yeah. Cathartic, I imagine. Very
Yeah, it's
cathartic.
cathartic. It's very cathartic. I mean, there's gonna be some scenes in Arc 2 where Crowley definitely goes unhinged, like bloody unhinged,
Hmm.
because that's him. He's an evil mage. But it's it's him doing it because I'm evil, and he
Hmm.
really is has this motivation of I want the power. I
Hmm.
want to control the power. I want to be like the guy who everyone goes to because I'm working for the dark gods. It's what it is.
Right.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
there was like, oh, all these villains need these deep reasons. They're sympathetic. It's like, no, not all villains need that. Some villains are just truly evil.
Yeah. This is true. This is true.
It's like, are there some villains where you're sympathetic? Yes, but you don't need them all for all the villains because then it's like that's where the line starts to blur a little bit.
Hmm.
I don't mind that line blurring a little bit, now and then. But sometimes you just see a straight up great villain that's just like knows he's evil or she's evil, and just loves it.
Hmm. True. True. Very much in the pulp and superhero tradition.
Right. In the same token, Night Raft is interesting because Sergio Jekyll and Hyde. Like Night Raft is very bold, brash, rude. I'll say, and he's very much 90s waves of testosterone. His alter ego's, alter ego's like, is also this big guy. He's very meek, he's very quiet, he's very much like no self confidence whatsoever when he's not Night Rat.
Hmm.
It's,
Hmm.
dichotomy. The guy gets to get it, guy who's rough around the edges who at the end of the day still wants to do the good thing.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
in Rook at Night, you have the father son dynamic, and the father is definitely going a little too far in the sense trying to rein him back a, a bit. And again, so that's the whole thing. Is like, so that's also getting like fathers and sons, and also where is that line sometimes where it gets crossed, and where how do you come back?
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned writing sort of Superman fan scripts and writing superheroes. What is it about superheroes that you feel like draws you to that particular type of storytelling?
Other than the fact they're just plain fun,
Yeah, plain
it's
fun is
modern myth.
good.
It's modern myth making. It's
Yeah.
our modern version of our myths. Like the Greeks and Romans had, Hercules and the Greek gods, and the Egyptians had Osiris and Horus and Set and Isis. The Norse, of course, have Thor, and very much in superhero comics are very much an American mythology, specifically a Jewish American mythology.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
our Jewish Americans' contribution to the culture of America, along with movies and TV and everything. But it's very much our literary contribution
Hmm. Hmm.
to American culture.
Love it. Love it.
And I make the quip of make comics Jewish again because it feels like we have all these great Jewish creators from the past, not so much now. Like the
Mhm.
Jewish roots of comics seems to be ignored more and more and more. And as a Jew, I'm like, come on, we created this industry. Let's have a little bit more representation, at least on the table.
Hmm. Hmm. And you're involved with Juicy, is that right?
Yeah, I was in the inaugural Jews convention,
Hmm. Hmm.
which was great. It was a nice, 1.5, well, 1 and a few hours delay on the preview night. A great 1 day convention, and it was very much a celebration of both Jews comics and Jews in comics.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was really just a fun show to do.
Yeah. And I imagine hopefully that's going to be a recurring thing now.
They are planning on a at least a sequel,
Good. Good. Good.
as they put it in a recent email that I got.
Nice. So I have one more official question, and then we can hit anything that we might have missed. And that is, of course, the places where people can connect to see what's on the horizon with your work, social media spaces, websites, things like that.
Like if I'm on Facebook at Daniel Kalban, on Twitter at Daniel Kalban, Instagram at D Kalban. I'm usually at D Kalban on Threads and Blue Sky as well
Hmm.
because we have
Hmm.
them there. I have a Substack, the Mad Mind of Kalban. There's also I have a link tree. You can find it on my Twitter or my Facebook. It's the pinned post because you can get my socials and everything from that one link tree link on
Great.
my Twitter and my Facebook. And you can also get American Dreams comics at Band of Arts, who are the publisher of American Dreams. And we actually have a special
Fantastic.
going on right now. I can get every issue, every cover for like $40.
All right. All right. I'll make sure to get this out quickly so that people can jump on and check it out.
Yeah, I think they're also having some deals for the holiday season too, so keep an eye out for those.
All right. All right. Well, fantastic. Anything that we missed, Daniel, that you want to make sure to share?
Ah, well, trying to think here. Um, hmm. We covered mostly everything. I mean, keep an eye out on my various socials for upcoming books, such as the aforementioned Phantom and Sherlock Holmes story. I'm planning to
Mhm.
preview that this summer as some cons,
Looking forward to
a
that.
preview edition. Um, then and also the next chapters of American Dreams, we'll have announcements of that, and also whatever else I'm cooking up. Keep an eye on social media. Other than that, happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, happy Kwanzaa, happy. There's so many holidays this time of the year. Happy Yule, happy New Year.
Yeah. Yeah. Wishing
Oh,
everybody a good holiday, a time of
yeah,
refreshing.
yeah. Other than that, read comics, theaters, especially since we're having this like everyone's having a market contraction, everything, not just comics.
Hmm. Hmm.
Everything's having a market contraction because inflation's just ridiculous. Even though they brought it down, it's still somewhat ridiculous. Um, but yeah, it's like read comics, spread the joy of comics.
Absolutely. That's one of the major threads of the show, so I'm glad to send that message. And I appreciate your time. I appreciate the work and looking forward to more of it to come.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.